Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Warren, you have a prize to announce.
Yes. We have a jam-packed show for you this week, okay? We have tons. We have got Kickstarters, we've got news, we have an interview about Dropfleet Commander. You've got to watch that. But we also have an interview all about Warhammer 40k Eternal Crusade, the massively multiplayer first-person shooter. And we're giving away an awesome prize to 10 of you.
You're such a tease this week.
Yeah. Watch the show.
Keep your blaster handy, the West is a dangerous place. Fight to survive as men turn to monsters and the dead rise on the Wild West Exodus Hub at beastsofwar.com. From Viking halls to the cities of the future, terrain buffs will love our foreground hub. Watch gaming tables of all genres come to life at beastsofwar.com.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Weekender.
Hey!
I'm in charge, but look, we have Ben on the show.
We have Ben!
Hello everybody!
Warren's been working away with Ben to get our Skype conferencing up and going.
Yo, it's 2015, it's Back to the Future, we have video screens! I watched Back to the Future 2 and I realized, it's 2015, your Beasts of War needs to have video calls, proper Back to the Future style, and now we do.
The thing is, unlike most people, we actually have it on a TV.
Yes.
Because everybody else is on a little tiny screen.
Yeah. Ben, you look lovely, mate. Big untamed beard there, doing its thing.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Well, this adds a whole new dynamic to the show, doesn't it?
It does, because now we can get Ben on the show much more often, because he's been missing from the show, because every time he comes over I think, he's a lovely bloke, I'd like to get him on the show more often.
Yeah, this is true. Every time he's on and he leaves again, I'm going, but the show's really good when he's on it. So this way, Ben, you get to get up brutally early like the rest of us to sit and
Wax
chew the
lyrical.
fat.
Yep.
Yeah. Right, Lloydie, what are we kicking off with?
Well, we're kicking off with news.
Yep.
And we had to get Ben in for this bit of news.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel is doing a Dungeons and Dragons show with the Geek and Sundry crew.
Yes.
I mean, Vin Diesel is doing a Dungeons and Dragons show with the Geek and Sundry crew.
He has been a geek since he was a kid. He played it as a kid.
Yes, we've
Every gamer takes that bit of a hiatus where we step away from gaming, and now he's came back.
Oh, you mean that hiatus where we step away from gaming and become an international movie star?
He did it better than most of us. He did it better than most of us, let's be honest.
Because I haven't went through that bit yet. It's,
How many people take a break from gaming? But
yes.
the love of gaming is still there.
He has been a gamer forever. We've all known about Vin Diesel's love of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
The thing about this is, can we have a clip of this? Do we have a clip of this that we can bring up?
Yeah, we sure do. Let's play it now.
Okay.
I am Colder the Witch Hunter, the 800-year-old immortal.
You can see arms appear and then vanish. Occasionally a face kind of chuckles and disappears back into the surrounding vapor.
Ooh, I like this. Attack! I'm a witch hunter.
Okay, right? It's cool. There's no doubt about it's cool. But Ben, right?
Yep.
Is it just me, or did anybody else in the world when they watched that get a kind of just an uncomfortable feeling of poor Vin Diesel sat in a throne with a huge light, like he was the Messiah, right in the middle of it? It's
a little bit.
I think he was the object of every critical and every 20. I think that was what the gods were shining down on him, and any dice gods involved were making sure that he was going to be amazing in that session. I think so.
But it's one of those things that I know that he's the star of the show, right?
Yeah.
He's got a movie out called The Last Witch Hunter. It's made by Lionsgate, same people that own Geek and Sundry and stuff like that. So it's perfect opportunity for a tie-in.
Hence the connection, because I was like,
Yep.
but it's Vin Diesel.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been through most of it, right? Because we had to cut together that little short montage.
Yeah.
Because the episode was like 25 minutes.
And it is fabulous. It's probably I would.
I don't know if it is fabulous.
I would love to play with those role players. The Games Master.
Yes.
The Games Master in it is absolutely
the guy that
superb.
runs the session, Matt Mercer. He does another series with Geek and Sundry called Critical Role, and all the characters in it are all voiced by proper voice actors that you've seen in video games, and like some of them have done like, other stuff for TV and cartoons and things.
But this,
and it's a fantastic show.
this is what bugged me about it.
Yeah.
Is he was amazing. The DM was doing all these actions and really
all the voices.
Fabulous.
And right at the start of that clip, you can see that a few of the guests really get into it and take on their character. And I was watching it waiting for Vin Diesel's character, which never appeared.
Well,
Yeah,
the
He was
thing
very
is,
much just. He was
was only going to be stuck to 30 minutes because they had like to go around his schedule and things like that. So Matt Mercer had to actually come up with a really condensed version of D&D. I'm sure like maybe he would have been a bit more expressive if,
Yes.
you know, he'd sort of been able to get into
Well,
it.
he just stuck to his I'm Vin Diesel with the deep voice thing.
I think I know what happened, right? Okay, right. Bear with me here, guys.
Okay.
Right? So I'm Vin Diesel, right? I've walked in.
Right.
You know, I have a busy schedule. You know, I have autographs to sign. You know, I have fast cars to drive.
People to kill.
I walk in. Okay, I see the set, and I say, "Oh, cool! That looks really good. You have the Games Master in the middle, and us around the outside, and it's going to be fun." And then they go, no, the throne's for you, Vin. What? Yeah, the throne's for you. Oh, well, okay. And I sit down. It's okay. Turn on the light! Bing! At that point,
Highlight
the hair
him.
on the back of his neck
He
wasn't
doesn't
just-
have any hair.
Well, okay. Well,
He
the
probably
one hair on the back of his
he
neck.
probably gets what I get whenever I have the head shaved, which is just that little bit of a skin crawl you
Yeah,
feel.
it just at that moment, he realized, oh, this is not like any game of D&D I've ever played before.
I don't know.
You know, because here's the thing, right? I know it's kind of about him as a promo opportunity, but any game like that, right, is about the group.
Yes.
We've done, Ben, you've done an article on the kind of do's and don'ts of Dungeons and Dragons, and on role playing in general. And one of the core rules is it's about the group.
It is, yeah. It's very much about making sure that everybody has their moment in the sun, and making it so that D&D isn't just going to be about one person and their sort of heroic actions. It's about everybody, working together against, a common goal and stuff. So
now the other side of that is
but
this is a show. This is a TV show.
But he
so-
came across as like just the way I was watching it. It's just like he came across as if he didn't play it because he just felt
I don't know.
uncomfortable in the
It seemed
environment.
okay once they got into combat.
I think
he
once
knew
he
what he was
started
up
to
to.
get into it,
Yeah,
he
he knew
didn't.
what he was up to, but just didn't feel at home. At least
Yeah, but how would you feel if you were just planted on a throne in the middle with a huge light from above casting over you, and everybody else, it would. I have no doubt that he kind of felt and it took time to get into it. It was brilliant. I just think that they overplayed that. It made me feel uncomfortable watching that until I got into the swing of it. But I've got to say, the characters were fabulous.
Yep.
A great gaming group to play with. The story was really good, actually, for something that was
it really
so
was.
short. But my favorite was I think the Games Master is an absolute star in his own right. What a fabulous.
Well, between voices, sound effects, descriptions, it's everything you want in a brilliant DM.
It was really well done. It was really well done.
Well, I don't think he made the sound effects just.
No, the DM was actually doing some sound effects on his own.
Was he?
Yes.
Not just
he
the
was,
edited stuff.
No. As a piece of role playing TV, I thought it was great.
I enjoyed it.
I thought it was great. So, now I've got to also say I have watched the trailer for The Last Witch Hunter. What the hell's going on? What is it about?
From what I can tell, he's an immortal witch hunter who's 800 years old.
Yeah.
He has been trapped in the past inside his own head.
Yeah.
Someone goes in to bring him out because the Witch Queen is coming back and is going to destroy the world.
Right.
So it's him coming back from essentially having lived in medieval times inside his own head to modern day, trying to fit in, trying to save the world.
And this is the character he's playing in the show with Geek and
Yes,
Sundry.
and that was the character he had when he was a kid.
Is that true, Ben?
The character he's playing in the show is named after the one that he is in the film. I think his characters as a kid, one of them was a half-orc berserker, and the other one was like an elven assassin, I think. Like, it was quite interesting. I heard some more trivia during the week that in the film Triple X, he actually had his character sort of tattooed on his body. I think it was named Melkor after someone from Lord of the Rings or something as well. So, but yeah, he has played characters like this in his childhood as well, I think. So.
Well, I mean, like, I was reading a thing online where it was him and the guy that did the movie with him talking and actually creating the story together, and they created it from his childhood character. At least that's what I read.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
I just surprised. He just didn't seem, as a professional actor, I think he'd be in there doing character, and it just didn't.
Yeah, but hang on.
Acting versus improv.
Yeah. But wait. This is Vin Diesel. Have you watched any of Vin Diesel's movies?
Well, it's quite.
You know, it's like Vin Diesel is not exactly known as the ultimate character actor. You know,
he basically just thrills people with his deep voice.
He thrills people with his awesome looks, his deep voice, and his ability to do violence really, really well. Okay, so cut the guy a break.
I think for someone who was coming back to a role-playing game after having not done it for however many years,
what makes you think he hasn't done it? He maybe plays every weekend.
I don't know, but I would say that's just my feeling on it.
Ben, what do you reckon?
Looks as if he was coming back to it from a long hiatus.
From the way that I've sort of seen how it was like seen on media and stuff, or social media and things, and what Matt Mercer had said, I think he hadn't been able to do it for a long, long time because he just never gets the time to do it. And I think this was the first time that he actually got to do it with a good group that all knew what they were doing, and it was all focused, and there was a good story behind it and things. So I think for him, it was coming back to it, properly for the first time.
Well, Vin, if you're watching, you're very welcome to come on our show. We'll get a throne and a light, and if we don't get you, we're going to shave him and call him Bin Petrol.
Oh, come on! I just regrew this thing. Are you wanting the community to go up in arms?
We'll get him on it, and I just thought brilliant. A thumbs up from me. Just lose the throne and the light, and it would be a bit easier to watch.
Yeah. Okay, right. We're going to move on with the news. We're going to say bye-bye to Ben.
Yeah, we're getting back on later in the show, though.
He's going to be back for some Kickstarter stuff after a little quick swish. Okay, Vin Diesel was very cool. We had to say goodbye to Ben.
Yep.
But we haven't finished news. We've got another item.
I have another item that I want to show you that we got quite excited about for very strange reasons. Actually,
because of an idea I came up with.
Yeah. So what we have here is FireForge have put up pre-orders for their medieval Russians in Death's Vault. So have a look at this. So what can you say? Yeah, it's beautiful artwork. They're very, very interesting miniatures. Now, if you can cut the actual miniatures themselves, I think they look really, really cool. I was looking at these, and I immediately thought, I would really like these, especially because of the faces. I'd really like to have these guys so I could meet them in one of our dungeon games.
Yep.
Because I just thought it'd be a cool kind of unit to have.
Yeah. That guy there, number 5.
Yeah.
Let me bring that up.
So the guy second from the left.
He looks like the sort of guard you'll find at the entrance to something.
Well, if you cut back to their faces, Lloyd, it was the faces that totally sold these for me. He's wearing that face, which is on the second row at the very end. Tell me that doesn't look like the Lord of the Rings kind of wraiths type face. It's really, really interesting. Now, I was exuding about these things and saying, I would like to actually get these and use them in a dungeon crawler. And then he totally set my mind on fire.
If I may. Aliens and Predators have been around for years. Why not medieval times?
What?
And he totally got me.
A medieval AVP game
he turned around
facing these dudes.
Yeah, he said, I want them as well for AVP. And I went,
what?
And then in a split second, my mind went boom. And I thought,
Predators and aliens stalking knights through castles.
He is totally right.
But would a predator really want to stalk a knight?
Oh, yeah. Predators have...
Have you not watched the AVP movies?
They've been hunting for generations.
The very first one, it was dropped into the Mayan civilization.
Yeah.
Why not come back during medieval times? Drop one off. Barrel of laughs.
Absolutely. A superb idea. Absolutely superb idea. And then it got me to thinking about you could also use it within Terminator. They have the ability to try time travel. Okay. So, they had a problem.
That's going
You're stretching this.
Maybe I'm
That's
stretching
stretching it a little.
Because I was going to say,
It's two completely different
if you
universes.
couldn't get John Connor, maybe you could get the entire civilization and twist it. But the problem is, if you twist
There are too many
Undo
paradoxes
yourself.
already in that series.
Yeah. It works well for the Predator
Skynet
stuff.
would wipe itself out.
Yeah, it works well for the Predator stuff. I just was
Yeah,
thinking,
because they would turn up, destroy a part of Europe, and head home. Nobody would notice.
Actually, do you know when you start with the medieval thing, a Predator would make a really good basis for
Imagine doing a medieval Predator.
it would make a really good basis for some of the mythology and stuff that come out of the Middle
Well,
Ages.
for the aliens, Grendel.
Yep.
Do Vikings versus an alien. Things like that. And imagine doing up a medieval Predator in full plate mail.
Is this not the basis of is there not a Viking movie or something where he ends up fighting aliens?
Yes, there is. I remember it, but
is it the Last Viking?
No, it's Outlander.
Outlander. All right, okay, yeah.
Because that's a fella from space crashing in. He has brought the Morrowind with him, and he then becomes king.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Brain's going.
he managed to completely blow my mind.
It happens once in a while.
So I definitely want to get this. I want to get us a castle or something like that there. Or even set up one of our dungeon things and have predators in there. I'm not so much enamored about the aliens, but the predators work for me.
Well,
the predators.
I don't know.
work for me.
The Predator needs a
I'm
reason to be
interested.
there. It's always been the alien.
I'm interested from the pure fact of making a cool looking Russian army, because the artwork's kind of selling me on this, and I'm going to bring this up again. I'm kind of digging that a lot, actually. And Russians never really occurred to me in the Middle Ages. I'm not. If I'd read history, probably the Russians are all over it. But you always think like Brittany and all that sort of stuff.
All you ever think when you're thinking Middle Ages is Richard the Lionheart on the Crusade. So let's be honest. When we look at Death's Vault, we keep thinking, oh, we need Richard the Lionheart, we need the Knights Templar,
Yeah, we need Saladin.
and Saladin. But the Middle Ages, and especially that whole Crusades period, was much more than that. You had the Mongols involved, you had the Russians involved. Yeah. There was a lot going on in that. I just wish I knew more about it, to be honest.
I remember sitting chatting with Andy Chambers, and he was chatting about all the wars that were happening during Europe. And in fact, even the Swiss had a massive empire at one point. Mm-hmm. And you think, okay, Switzerland, they're neutral. Not during the Middle Ages, they were having it.
Yeah. It's a fascinating period.
I think it's royal families that did this to us.
Yeah.
Royal families and this interbreeding and intermarrying and stuff, and then Europe it's like you're trying to keep an eye on what's going on in Europe, and your mind just melts.
Yeah. But you see, the other thing is the world was so much smaller back then. If you heard there was a war 2 or 3 countries over, you didn't care.
The world was so much smaller back then?
So much bigger back then. Your local area was so much smaller. You were more contained. These days, I can call somebody half a world away.
Whereas
and instantly
then,
be connected.
All you could do was go as far as your horse could take you.
Yeah, or fire off a pigeon.
But you remember clearly your days of firing off a pigeon. We are going to get Justin regressed.
Yes, I have
shortly.
agreed to this, but it has to be for charity.
Yeah,
I want it to be for charity.
Hypnotic regression for charity. Okay.
Yes, I'm willing to go through it if it goes to a good cause.
Right. Well,
Does this sound
do
fair?
that. We do a fundraiser. And the whole thing is
have
to
me
get
regress.
Yeah. So what we'll do, okay,
The
fundraiser is you pledge, okay. You pledge betting, you pledge an amount for every past life we believe he has. Because remember, I'm convinced that he has won when he's stig at the dump. I reckon you get Justin. From
So there's me on there. Justin, where are you?
or Justin, what are you doing now? I'm eating a leaf.
I'm eating a leaf, yeah.
Why are you eating a leaf? You hate veg. I'm a snail.
He's come back as a slug. Yeah. But you know what? To be fair,
I think it would be something nice and different for us to do.
So we would pledge amount for every past life we believe you have.
All right. Well, hang on. I want everybody below to post me what era in history you would hope my past life would be.
If Justin had past lives, that's perfect for comments this week, right?
Yeah.
If Justin had past lives, okay, describe what you think he would be.
Okay,
right?
occupation, location of the world, and a name.
Yes. And species. Anyway, look, we're waffling on. We've got so much to get through. Next up, I have Simon from Hawk to talk us through some more Dropfleet.
Oh, yes. Good stuff.
We'll be right back. Let's tell you about some hubs.
Flames of War brings you the battles of World War II in epic 15mm scale. Go to the hub on beastsofwar.com to find news, tactics, and tutorials about the game. Anime cyberpunk style meets skirmish combat in Infinity. Experience 8 high-tech factions and fight to control the human sphere at the Infinity Hub on beastsofwar.com.
Okay, as promised, we have Simon in from Hawk Wargames to talk about the upcoming Kickstarter for Dropfleet.
Yes.
Exciting stuff, this.
So, Dropfleet Commander's on the way, and we have Dropfleet Updater in the studio.
I'll do my best.
So, Lloyd, Dropfleet Commander is hitting Kickstarter 30th of this month. Yeah. So Friday the 30th, pencil it into your diaries.
Ooh, it's in there.
So we were lucky enough, we have Simon over doing some bits and pieces, but this was our chance to get a bit of an update on the whole thing, because one of the interesting things about the actual game is the rules, because it's a massive game.
Yeah.
The rules, stats, and stuff like that are all still in progression and will be in progression during the Kickstarter. So if you ever wanted a chance to formulate that, I've already got my dibs in. I want UCM burn through lasers to always hit on 2s. It's unlikely to happen, but if it was ever going to happen, now's the time to try and make it happen. So
definitely.
Now you guys had you had Dave and who was it?
Andy Chambers.
And Andy Chambers already on.
Who was it? Yeah.
Well, I wasn't here that week.
Oh, okay, yeah. We had Dave. The game is written by Hawk, and Simon's heavily involved in the mechanics and the rules and the testing and stuff like that. So, but you have Andy Chambers at the helm with Dave as well.
Yeah.
We've already done a kind of a talk through on this.
Yeah, that's why I was raising it, because I was going to say, at home you can go and check out one of the other weekenders if you want to know even more about this stuff.
Yeah, but we're getting very close now. So I just wanted to, I had him here, pick his brain on behalf of all of us that are anxiously waiting for this to try and see where rules have been progressing, but more importantly, what the game is, what is it going to look like? So I don't mean that in terms of necessarily the visuals of it, but as I look down upon a game, what am I going to see?
Well, you're going to see 2 fleets, like some of the ones we've got here actually, fighting over giant swathes of landmass. It's not space; it's an orbital insertion game. You're trying to capture the planet and capture cities around the planet.
Yeah.
And strategic locations on the ground. So you're going to have awesome landscapes to fight over and amazing fleets to do it with.
Now, one of the interesting things that I've learned this week is I always knew that we were going to be fighting over cities and installations and stuff, but I've actually got to try firsthand some of the current mechanics of this. And what you have is clusters.
Yeah.
And sectors.
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
And
so
this is because we've been doing some filming with Simon, getting ready for I think we're having like a weekend or something, aren't we?
We're going to try and coordinate a Dropfleet Commander mini themed weekend around the time of the Kickstarter, where we can show off some of the mechanics. So what I'm hoping is, we haven't done it yet, but what I'm hoping is that myself and Simon will do a playthrough. We're thinking of doing a playthrough, 3 turns, 3 episodes. And talk about the game, have a look at the mechanics as they stand today, and basically just give a feel for where it's at, and then say if you want to get involved, go and check it out on Kickstarter.
So I'm guessing a Friday vid, Saturday vid, and a Sunday vid, just a class weekend then.
Most likely.
Yes, can't wait.
And then
for
if
that.
we can get some nice pictures of new painted stuff and previews, we'll try and post them up as well. So we're going to have to basically twist these guys' arms and say, give us some stuff to show.
I did come here with some images for you guys.
Well, we could move on to them, or we could go back to what you were saying about sectors and stuff, because you were making a point.
I'll come back to it, because it relates somewhat to the images that we have here. So we've got some new artwork from Patrice, who's doing the art in Hawk Wargames. So if you bring some of that up, we can have a look at it.
We can start with what is the actual cover of the game.
The actual front cover of the game, yeah.
It's big. We can't fit it all on screen, but we'll get started here.
Yeah.
So here is what we can fit on screen.
Yeah, so this is Dropfleet Commander.
Oh, that is the front cover, which I don't believe anyone else has seen before.
Now, I've had a little tiny bit of a demo session with Simon on Dropfleet Commander, and I've got to say the game feels exactly like this.
Yeah.
Exactly like this,
Well-
because it's although you have your kind of longer range weaponry, and remember, all weapons are infinite.
Yep.
So
that's true.
you can shoot anything provided it's within your scan
Yeah.
and spike
Well,
range.
if I bring up the picture, you can see that laser just keeps going.
Well, what is
Right in the middle.
what
That's
this
it, yeah.
what this beautifully represents though is when ships do get up close,
Yeah.
then you have all these kind of smaller secondary weapons that fire off, and then
close action attacks.
yeah, and then the other ship has its own defenses, and you can imagine machine guns going.
That's it. They're trying to shoot down incoming missiles, and
So
it's great
this
mechanic.
picture really does. Is there more to
Well,
it?
I
as
can
we go
move. Yeah,
on?
I can move us around this picture because when I was looking at it, I was thinking, oh, it might be nice to get real close up. So let me bring
Yeah.
the picture up big, and then we can actually zoom in on portions of the picture, like the big frigate. What's this? down near
That's
the bottom?
actually the Avenger, the giant ship that we built. And we had it salute in some of our bigger shows.
Which represents the smallest
It is,
ship in the
smallest
fleet.
ship in the game, yeah. So it's a strike carrier, which
and it's having a blast at,
a Scourge cruiser.
which I can then move over to and get a bigger shot of that.
Yeah, look at that.
That
yeah,
is cool.
I love the Scourge. I love the fluid, organic designs of them. They're so intimidating and so alien, yet look pretty awesome as well.
Really nice stuff.
It's mental.
And
It is
just
mental.
while we were looking at that, I can bring us a close up of one of the actual Scourge.
There it is, yeah.
And
ships.
this is one here that's been all painted up. Now it's similar to it is the one that we've shown you before. So, but it's just in case you haven't seen any of these. You want to see a couple of my favorites? Okay. So if you let me bring this one in. This is my absolute favorite of the UCM because it's this big bad boy here on the front, which is a burn-through laser.
It's very dangerous.
Oh, right. So what is it? You know the way I love exploding sixes?
Yes.
Okay. It's kind of like exploding sixes. A burn-through laser. You roll a dice, okay, and it'll work on a 3+.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. However, if you get a 5 or a 6, so in other words, if you get 2 points higher than its target point, it then is classified as a critical, which means he gets no armor save against it. It's just straight up damage. Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
If your first hit is one of those criticals, well, every success you roll again, and you keep rolling until it fails, as it burns through the ship, tearing it to pieces. It is brilliant. If you don't get the crit on the start, he gets saves until the point where you do get a critical, and then from that point on,
Any future ones, ignore the armor.
Burns. So
That's
it is utterly deadly. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love this weapon. It is just so cool. I think we have a couple more pictures of planets and things like that where stuff is going to be taking place.
Yeah. So there's some images starting to come through that represent the sort of
Some of the planets you can be fighting
the
over.
universe that you're going to be fighting in here.
That's it. And this is Olympus Prime, and it's mentioned in the Reconquest Phase 1.
That's beautiful.
So that's one of the pieces of artwork we've got for that planet, which we'll be fighting over.
I love
Pretty awesome.
I love the the 3-dimensional effect of the clouds on that, and it's
The shadows really make it.
it really does work so well.
And then in the same system,
And then just when we have the moon, the Styx moon, we can actually then see Olympus Prime in the background as well.
Oh, so is Styx a moon?
Yeah,
of,
Styx is a moon
of
in
Olympus
the same.
Prime?
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got Olympus Prime in the top left there.
Yeah. So I'm actually looking forward to learning more about the systems and stuff like that as this whole thing progresses. But anyway, it leads me back to what I was saying about the clusters and the sectors within the clusters. In that what we're seeing, and you can hopefully expand on this for me, is that the assets that you're fighting over, or in other words, the cities, the locations and stuff that you're fighting over, going to be they're spread around the board, and what it means is you don't end up with this big messy mash of ships battling it out in the middle of the board. You have work to do. This is not about fleet battling fleet to kill each other. This is about taking control of what's on the ground, and if you can't take control of what's on the ground, you scorch earth it.
Which you can do, and that's it. I mean,
and do you take control of what's on the ground using these sorts of ships then?
Yes.
well, you might use something like this one here, which is the strike carrier, which actually is the ship we saw in the main image.
Let me get a bit closer.
Yep.
There we go.
No.
So this is the strike carrier that we saw earlier in the image. And this basically carries a load of UCM dropships, Condor dropships, if you know the Drop Zone Commander universe. And as it approaches a target, it basically loiters over on target, and depending on how much time it's got before enemies come and sort of track it down, it's disgorging troops and tanks to that location to try and capture it. And so that's a key part of Dropfleet Commander, in that while the main ship battles are going on, you're also trying to get your infantry and ground force deploying ships to the locations, as you said, the clusters and sectors all the way around the table. And there might be as many as sort of 7 clusters on a 4-foot table, which really forces you and your opponent to spread out your ships, which avoids, as you said, the big sort of space battle in the middle of the board. Because like a lot of space games, ships generally have momentum and inertia and keep on moving every turn.
Yeah.
Unless they take an order to not.
Yeah.
And we wanted to avoid a big sort of just scrum after sort of 3 turns in the middle of the board. We're just duking it out. And so, as well as there being the ground-based objectives, which your troops are trying to capture, you then also got space-based objectives, which your ships will be trying to hold and capture and dominate. And as you say, maybe employ some scorched earth policies to destroy ground targets.
Space, like what? So space objectives like?
Well, it's things. I mean, we've got 3 orbital layers of the game. We've got atmosphere, low orbit, and high orbit. And again, to make the main ships and to avoid them all grouping together and just running off each other, just trying to kill each other, there'll be critical points around the map they'll be trying to hold. Because it's no use you capturing all the ground to then have the sky, or in this case the space, dominated by your opponent's fleet, because they're just going to rain fire on you and eventually destroy you from orbit.
Yeah. So
it's critical that, hand in hand with capturing the ground installations intact, you're also trying to hold and dominate parts of the map. And that again forces you and your opponent to spread out over the map, because you'll both have different missions for the space base.
Probably the key thing actually about this then, because most space games you play, they're just sort of floating through space.
Yeah.
And the only objectives they maybe have is go and capture like this Hulk, or go and capture some cargo thing. I quite like the idea now that this game introduces, you actually have to hold this part of this map, and you have to hold that part of the map.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't emphasize enough how interested I am in this space ground mechanic. Because like, if you, for example, you take, for example, this little guy here, they've captured the narrative of Drop Zone Commander, the universe, so well in this, in that these guys basically just keep dropping off troops as long as they're alive, because they are so enormous, and the deployment of troops on this scale of battle is so high that there is no concept of a limited number of troops. What it is you will never run out of troops, but you will run out of ships. So you've got to get your troops down. You've got to protect these ships to make sure you can get your troops down. And if you find over at some other segment of the board that things are going a bit pear-shaped, you've got tactical decisions you need to make. Yeah. In other words, do you stop deploying troops in this area and start trying to move your assets over to there to reinforce it? Or are you prepared to give it up? Or is it a case of, if I can't have it, you're not getting it either?
And that's it. And that's it. So even when you run out of, say, all your troop deploying ships have been destroyed, there's still options of orbital bombardment to destroy the cities. You go, okay, well, my troops, they're not going to get any more reinforcements.
Yeah.
But what I can do, and yes, they're going to hold some of the locations they're in, and they're going to survive towards the end of the game. But I'm going to make sure that, because I can't put anything else down, I'm just going to try and, as you say, scorch earth and destroy some of the locations that the opponent is holding.
Yeah.
So even when you've lost your troop deploying mechanics, you still haven't lost the game. You can still affect the game. You've still got the space-based objectives to fight over, and you can affect the ground with just orbital bombardment and just removing their troops and their cities by destroying them. Going, you know what? If I can't get them, you can't get them either.
It's a very, very elegant system as I've seen it so far. And bear in mind, the rules are all still in production. But one of the things for me was there's a number of really good space games out there at the moment. And one thing that a good space game does well is it makes it feel like space. Okay, it doesn't start to feel like cars moving around. You get the sense of the physics of space. And in this game, some of the things that they do well is they really replicate that sense of space. In fact, of how the game even begins. Deployment is, you have to work out all your deployment in advance, because if you were coming in from hyperspace or something like that, your fleet would be in a kind of a tactical attack
Yeah, a
position.
predetermined formation.
Yeah.
You can't just make it up on the fly.
This is it. So you're determining your formations and stuff like that from the start, and you can't change those formations until after it's executed. And that is exactly how it would work. I've been spoiled because I've been reading a series called Lost Fleet, and Lost Fleet, is just so good at describing space battles and things like that. And I have seen some of the things that make space battles quite unique already starting to appear in this game. But it is very, very cool. It is very, very cool. That space ground mechanic is so interesting, and it suits this game because that's what Drop Zone was all about.
So just out of curiosity then, so we'll be playing over planet surfaces and stuff. We have a map here that's all space and stars and things like that. I take it there is prototype maps or something now in development. We probably talked about it in the last show. Did we have a...
No, I don't think we had a prototype in the last show, but there is... Basically what you'll be playing over would be like a planet surface. So you'll be putting cities and things
something
like that
about sort of 2 US states, a couple of countries in Europe, that sort of size.
So
and you're playing over mega cities and corporate and sort of, critical locations and sort of industrial centres and military defences and things like that.
So if I go back to this image, it'd be closer than that, so you can actually see ground installations and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
You will see land masses and maybe if it was Europe, you'd be...
So Google Maps.
It's going to be a bit like Google Maps.
A bit like that. Yeah.
It's going to be a bit like Google Maps. In fact, if I can find a way of just printing off Google Maps, there we go. We'll just fight over Earth.
Well, if you wanted to, you could, pick your local city if you wanted to, print it out and fight over it. It would work.
I would probably just orbitally bombard Coleraine all the time. But yeah, it is coming on well. What I've played of it so far, I've just thought, this is great. And we'll wait and see. We're going to record some stuff. There are elements of the rules that we'll not get into over the themed weekend because they're kind of being saved for a bit of back and fro with the backers and stuff like that on Kickstarter. So.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, one of the backer levels actually on the Kickstarter itself is going to be, you'll be, as part of it, you'll be invited to a beta test day. Mm-hmm. So we'll be putting on this fantastic day, and you'll be able to be brought down as part of a closed group, and you'll be able to play the game, play with the models, experience it, and then we'll take your feedback on board, and it will affect the game itself.
Yeah. So
it sounds really, really cool. We have a couple of images here. Do we have a new ship or something that we want to show off?
Yes. Well, we've got two we can show you.
Yeah.
The first one we've got is actually a Scourge frigate.
Yeah. So let me bring that up. So the Scourge frigate. This is it.
Yep.
Well, that's it. So this is a render of the Scourge frigate. No one's seen these before, or if they have, they've only gone up very, 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 very recently.
Now, what's the role of frigates within the game, Simon? What's their kind of strengths?
Their strengths are, they're definitely not as powerful as you would expect 1-1 with a cruiser. You can't go, they can't go toe-to-toe with a cruiser, but they make up for that with numbers.
Yeah.
They're very more flexible as well. They tend to have, there's quite a good number of frigates per faction, and each do a particular role. And so you can buy them in small numbers or large numbers, depending on what you want to do, and swarms of them can descend on ships. And especially if they're like a missile frigate, or like a missile frigates use close action weapons. And as actually we'll be going through when we do some of our videos later, those guys are devastating when they get together, group together, and unleash swarms of attacks. And the opponent's defenses just get overwhelmed and destroyed.
Yeah.
But they're much weaker, they're not as tough as a cruiser. But to help them stay alive, they're also a lot smaller.
Yeah.
Drop zone, as you said before, ranges and drop zone are a combination of how far you can see and how visible the target is.
Yes.
And frigates being much smaller, are much harder to see. So they, you can't just see them from across the board and take them out. You've actually got to wait for the right opportunity when they come close enough that you can see them. Well, hopefully not so close, they then get to unleash all their devastating attacks.
It's this balance thing again. It's very, very interesting.
I've had some brief conversations with balance, and this bit of stuff about how different ships can be detected at different ranges and stuff depending on what they're doing. And this, it throws in all those options. You're looking at this going, well, there's no troops in that.
No.
So you're balancing up ships that actually have troops to take objectives with ships that don't have troops. They're just there to try and deal with the other ships.
Yeah, and you have these frigates potentially swarming towards you, right? There's nothing you can do with them, but in the meantime, there's maybe a big ship over there that has a big burn-through laser that if you open up on the frigates, well, if you go weapons free, which is a favorite of mine, where you get to fire all your weapons, but it lights you up like a Christmas tree. And then suddenly that big ship over there with a burn-through laser that was not in range before, now it sees you totally, and it goes, weapons free, and it just burns right through you and cuts you in half.
There is some cool mechanics in this game for that. Like, if you dish out the pain, expect the pain back.
That's exactly. You couldn't have said it. You couldn't have said it more succinctly. Bring up the other one though, Lloyd. There's what's this one?
So this is a UCM battle cruiser. So this is actually a Kickstarter exclusive model. It'll be available at I believe there are 2 pledge levels where this will be included as part of your pledge.
Yeah.
And there will be another one for the Scourge as well, but we haven't got that image with us today. And basically it's pretty awesome. It's unique.
It kills on 2s. Does it kill on 2s?
No. There's no burn-through laser on 2s, Warren. It's just too good. I'm so disappointed.
We need a Beast of War exclusive that kills on 2s.
I mean, the thing about this is that it's a unique sculpt, and it won't. While this model will be unique to Kickstarter, the rules and a subsequent sculpt will be available for the general public. So even if you can't get involved in the Kickstarter, or you don't want that particular pledge level, you will still be able to get the rules for this model and use it. You just won't get this particular sculpt of it.
So this is an exclusive
for Kickstarter.
So let's bring that up again. The thing I love about this is all the gribbly little bits.
Oh, isn't it great?
It's really, really cool.
But here, let me bring this one in here, because this gives you the perfect view of just what that looks like when it's painted up. You know, it's
really nice.
Tell me that's not awesome. You know, and the beauty of it is a sense of scale. Like, this is basically a city hanging underneath this thing. You know, it's just.
That's it. You've got the sensor spines all underneath. The idea being that that's where they're most protected, and they're less vulnerable if they're underneath.
I'll just do that because you can see the profile a bit better.
Yeah.
It's cool looking
and
stuff.
it's one of the things I love about these models is that they're also unique and different. You know, I think Dave in his design has really managed to capture the essence of each race without sort of doing something that's been done before. Each ship is unique and different, and each race looks fantastic, and it really captures their own spirit and essence.
Yeah.
Speaking of races, then, does the Kickstarter is it based on 2 races?
Yeah, initially you're going to get the Scourge and the UCM.
Yeah.
They're the 2 main protagonists in our story of the Drop Zone universe and now the Dropfleet universe. And so they're the 2 guys that you're going to be first in it. But the aim of the Kickstarter is basically to help us with getting funding for plastic, so that we can essentially put as much of the range into plastic as we can, which makes it cheaper for everyone, and everyone likes that, and it allows us to do different things with design, which is really cool. However, as the Kickstarter grows, there will be unlocks for the Shaltari, the PHR. Now, the Resistance, unfortunately, aren't going to be in Drop Zone as a core race. If you know the Drop Zone, in Dropfleet, yeah. In Drop Zone, if you know the story, these guys are ragtag survivors from a post-apocalyptic, so they've been destroyed. They don't really have access to many ships.
Yeah.
However, they will be appearing in scenarios because as we've turned back on the beacons, as we call them in Drop Zone, any Battlestar Galactica style fleets that were out there that ran away from the Scourge suddenly know where home is again, so they can now make a beeline for it. So you'll see them in scenarios, and you'll see them also in the command card mechanic we're going to be having for the game.
So it's not a case of the Resistance won't be there. It's a case of the Resistance will always be there. So the Resistance it makes its appearance in the game as a Resistance.
Yes, in an appropriate manner. You didn't twist the game universe and just go, here's a Resistance.
But the beauty of this is, remember that the Drop Zone storyline, and I'm going to be putting words into Dave's mouth here, but this Drop Zone storyline is a storyline that continuously progresses. So, who's to say that the Resistance won't cobble together some form of fleet at some point in the future?
That is true, and even I don't know, so even I can't say.
So, and it'll hit on 2s.
No worries. No 2s.
Hitting on 2s.
Anyway, Simon, look, thank you so much for joining us. Kickstarter's launching on Friday the 30th of October.
Yes, that's correct.
So that's next weekend, isn't it?
That's close, isn't it?
It's getting very close now.
And we'll be doing our best to have a bit of a Dropfleet weekend going on, where we've got we're going to be playing through I just want to explore the rules as they are today and let you guys see them, and then you guys can start to feed back, and we'll see if we can get some exclusives and maybe a bit of a competition or something going as well. So we'll have a bit of fun with it, will we?
Awesome stuff. Simon, thank you very much for coming on the show. I can't wait to see more of this stuff.
Fight for the Iron Kingdoms as a warcaster. Take control of the mighty jacks, arcane devices, and dark sorceries to bring the fight to the War Machine Hub on beastsofwar.com. In a world controlled by massive corporations, a steady aim and split-second decisions are needed for your megacon to complete its goals. Begin your missions at the Mercs Hub on beastsofwar.com.
Oh, exciting as always. Not long to go now before their Kickstarter kicks off.
Me and John have been talking, and I think he's going UCM, I'm going Scourge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of those ones you cannot miss the Kickstarter.
I'm totally sold on it. Yeah, it's everything I've done. Hopefully now it'll all go smoothly, and our kind of little themed weekend next weekend, I get the opportunity to show you guys just how this game plays, because it is very, very good. And it's not finished yet, so we'll have to wait and see. Right, I got another opportunity to talk to someone this week. So next up, I have a great update on the whole Warhammer 40k Eternal Crusade, which is kind of like a massively multiplayer first-person shooter.
Yeah, okay? MMO
FPS. So if you remember, they've been in development now for a couple of years, okay? They had a new guy called Nathan, which took over in January, and kind of refactored the project and pulled it back in and tightened it all up.
Okay.
So I got a chance to chat with Nathan and Katie about the project and where it's at. Now, stay tuned, because we have a prize related to this as well. Really good prize. But I'll give you more details whenever we come back.
Just before we go into the interview, though, I want to jump into this and say I originally was looking at this and I wasn't that interested.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I was looking at it very much from a visuals point of view.
Well, early on, now remember, they're now into closed alpha.
Yeah.
Okay. Which you could get access to. Stay tuned. But early on, the last time we looked at it, the world was still kind of like black boxes with white X's and stuff like that on. It was still very, very early days. As you're about to find out during this interview now, they've a big step up. They still have so much development to do, but already we're now seeing the key weapons in place, Vindicators, Predators, all of this kind of stuff.
I was actually having a look through the Rogue Trader section on their website. I can get me a Space Marine attack bike.
Yeah.
Well, you see, the cool thing is, though, they're basically doing Twitch every Friday.
Yes.
And every Friday they're putting up the latest build. They're doing a wee Twitch presentation. I've been watching back through some of this, and I'm really getting now a feel for the game. I'm getting a feel for them working on each character's abilities and how they're going to balance them and stuff like that. And I've stopped looking at the visuals, because the visuals are still a little on the rough side as it's just being developed. They even describe, the visual's going to be the last thing. We put enough visuals in so players actually get a feel of what they're looking at.
It feels like 40k.
But if they work too hard on the visuals, it'll make it too hard to change the gameplay.
Yes.
So they have to get the gameplay right, and then they can polish all the visuals up.
Yeah.
So during the interview, we have some footage and stuff. Don't be looking at it thinking that's final game. It is very much a work in progress. And I love the fact that they're being very open to the community, doing their presentations, saying, we've tweaked this gun. This power sword's not finished. Like, I've got a sword, but it's not the right stats yet, but we're using it, and then we will update the stats, and then we'll let you know next week when they're at updated stats and stuff.
They're working so closely with the alpha testers.
Yeah.
They have a group of several thousand alpha testers, I believe, and there could be 1,000 of them in there at any one time.
Yeah.
Across the various servers and stuff. Look, do you know what? Watch this interview, and then you can see for yourself. Hi guys, so I'm joined by Nathan and Katie of Behavior Interactive, the guys behind Eternal Crusade, to get an update on just how the whole development has been going. Hi Nathan, hi Katie.
Hi.
Hello.
So Nathan, how has the development been going?
It's been going quite well, actually. It's been going beyond our expectations. It's been in development for almost 3 years now, but I only joined in January, and what we did there is that we had a very ambitious project back then, and it was going to be 1,000-player battles, kind of in a Skyrim open world. And what we did back then is that we went over the scope of the game, and we looked at what was most important to begin with, and that was as a massive online shooter, the shooter part was the most important.
Yeah.
So what we did is that we essentially refocused the team on creating that vertical slice of just the basic shooter, just to get that totally right. Because if the shooter part of Massive Online Shooter doesn't work, I mean, the rest doesn't really matter. What we also did is that we switched over to Unreal Engine 4. So we're basically taking state-of-the-art shooter engine for our shooter. I mean, that sounds like a really logical and sensible thing to do.
Yeah.
What this allows us to do is that with our goal of getting this vertical slice of the shooter into the hand of the founders as soon as possible, is that we got it even sooner actually ready. And it's actually been a fantastic ride. We've had the closed alpha now open for almost 6 weeks. And the reception has been astounding. I mean, you're always scared shitless when you've been working hard.
Yeah, I can imagine.
A milestone like this, and like even it doesn't really matter how confident you are in what you've been working towards and the quality and the experience. But I mean, we were really surprised, well, pleasantly surprised, of course, but relieved as well. And I think the receptions were like beyond. I mean, we've done surveys. We have hundreds of threads of feedback in the alpha forums. We have actually now we have 7,000 people playing because we first started with the captain's founders, and now we're at the sergeant's founders. But we're still seeing an amazing daily active user rate. So this is where you measure how many unique of those 7,000 actually go in and play every day.
Yeah.
And us expecting this being an alpha, it's a vertical slice, but it's not a lot of content, not a lot of maps. It has the basic classes in there and such. But there's still more than 1,000 people every day coming in.
Now, Katie,
that's after 6 weeks. So
I hear you're one of
numbers.
these regular players, Katie. You're obviously in there cutting up a lot of players. How's the experience panning out?
Yes. I'm killing all of them one at a time. Sometimes multiple at a time, but they're really great. They're a lot of fun to play with. They're hardcore gamers, so they're putting up a good fight. It's a lot of fun.
So Nathan, what in terms of the experience of the people that are in the closed alpha at the moment, what weapons and machines of war and things like that have they currently got access to in there?
Well, so we started out with two of the factions. We have the Space Marines and the Chaos Space Marines. That was a simple choice because we wanted to get that shooter into the hands of the people as soon as possible. And while they're not quite the same, they're quite similar. They're both Space Marines. What we have now is that they have 4 of their 5 base classes. We have a large part of the weapon archetypes. So, even what let me see here. Besides, of course, the bolters and everything like that. After we opened closed alpha, we added power axe, power sword, plasma gun, plasma cannon. There's more coming in, of course. There's a force sword, and of course we have the Devastator in there as a class with the heavy bolter, and we have the apothecary and sorcerer for the Chaos Space Marines. We have the tactical, of course, with various loadouts. And that's the thing, is that everybody right now only have pre-made loadouts, not their own customized loadouts, because moving forward with the game, you will have a deeper character with character progression, and you will make your own loadouts, which are actually based on points, pretty much like the tabletop, so that you can actually have your class with your own weapons in there and play around with it like that. But now we have a simplified version of that system, so you choose a class and then a loadout. And then we have been rotating one map at a time because we wanted to focus all the alpha testing on individual maps and the feedback that.
Yeah.
And we've now gone through actually 3 maps. First, we started with one of the it's Warhammer 40k, so even though it's a Promethean refinery, it's pretty much a fortress still, because if it's worth anything, it has to be defended in somehow and defensible. So everything is a fortress as such. But we started out with the Promethean refinery, which is probably the map that we were the furthest ahead with, and it's outpost type. And then we added one of the military structures, which was more like a fortress, and then we actually have a fortress version of that map, which is an actual fortress, much larger, and it has the fortress game mode, which is a much more siege game mode, where it's even a more massive battle with the Vindicator tank and breakable walls and turrets and everything. So basically, what you have is a very simple but fun 40K shooter, really focusing on balance and figuring out where the core fun lies, because we want to get that right, and then we're of course constantly adding every week to the alpha more content.
Yeah.
Whether that's a map, new feature, like this week we added the squad management. So now you're in a squad and you can choose what squad you go into and who's going to be the sergeant of the squad. And we also have more communication tools and social tools. I mean, we're adding everything from features to maps to weapons to new classes.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
So Katie, what does it feel like playing in the game? You know, like I would assume you've played the map with the Vindicator and stuff like that. So can you kind of talk us? Yeah, can you talk us through? Kind of. From your perspective, what would happen? You obviously spawn into the map somewhere, or
Yeah. So you spawn in and you pick your vehicle and rally together, drive up the hill, and then it's utter madness. As soon as you reach the peak of the hill, it's craziness. There's cannons and quad guns and las cannons and explosions all over the place, and it's really, really fast paced. So it's a lot of fun.
And how many simultaneous players, Nathan, are we currently seeing within a map?
Well, I mean, so when we mean massive online from two perspectives. One is that you're all playing in the game world with a lot of other people, and there's a theater of war, and there's a huge map which you're playing, and there's territorial conquest, right? But there's also a question about the massive battles themselves. So right now, what we have is individual outposts. I mean, like I said earlier, this was supposed to be 1,000 players and a huge open world map, and the technology simply isn't in place to actually achieve that right now.
Yeah.
We hope to actually have it in the future, but we'd rather spend our engineers' time on actually making fun features, classes, and so on and so forth, rather than putting everybody on just the feature of being able to have 1,000 people somewhere.
Yeah.
Because that in itself is not fun. So we went over that scope, and now we are testing out those outpost maps, which is about 16 versus 16 and up to 32 versus 32. It's going to be different sizes of outposts. And then you have I'm using the old terminology of numbers because, I mean, for us, whether it's 30 versus 30 or 32 versus 32 doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the fortresses, which are sieges, they're intended to be, more between 60 and 100 people. However, right now, these are just individual maps separated.
Yeah.
So how it's going to progress over time is that we will have, and this is what you're fighting over in the territorial conquest, is what we call a territory. And a territory has actually 3 outposts and 1 fortress. And you have to capture the outposts to get to that fortress.
Yeah.
And this will actually be one open world as such. I mean, our one territory can be 16 times 16 kilometers, so it's pretty huge just on itself. And we will have, 50, 70. Well, it scales. So it scales depending on the server population, the number of territories which are actually being actively fought over between the 4 factions. So this is kind of like how we progress over time, is that now we're just testing the core gameplay of the shooter, and then we just have the individual maps. Then we merge these together into a more open territory setting, I guess we could call it, right?
Yeah.
And there you have, the 3 outposts and the fortress literally on the same location and the same map.
Awesome. It does sound spectacular. Okay, guys, we actually have a bit of a giveaway. We're giving away 10 of the Captain Pack keys.
Yes.
So
yes.
Nathan, what's in a Captain Pack key? It's kind of like the top available level at the moment, isn't it?
Yes. There, we had some limited packs earlier, but they were huge, of course. And what we have now is the top pack, which is the Captain's Pack. We also have the Warrior and the Sergeant Pack. And the thing is that as a founder, it's not just about getting access to the closed alpha and being part of the development of the game, because, like I mentioned earlier, we wanted the founders in there as soon as possible to start helping us and giving us feedback. But the Captain's Pack and and generally the Founders Pack are going to be the best deals to actually get into the game, because it's a full game key too, and it also includes, for example, the Captain's Pack includes 150,000 Rogue Trader points. And Rogue Trader points are our virtual currency, which you buy.
Yeah.
It also has unique items, and these are things that won't be available after we go, closer to the actual retail launch. So the Captain's Pack, it's $120 worth, and lots of Rogue Trader points for the store to buy various items and cosmetics and everything like that. Including, of course, its own unique items and outfits. So it's a pretty good deal. But 10 of those $120 packs are yours to give away.
Happy days. Well, guys, stay tuned, because we're going to be describing how you can win one of those a little bit later in the show. Okay, Nathan, Katie, it's been an absolute pleasure. Please keep us posted and don't leave it too long before you come back on the show and let us know how you're getting on.
Happy to come back as soon as possible, and thank you for having us today.
Yeah,
Not a problem. Thank you, guys. Okay, and back over to the studio. So, if you would like to be in with a chance of winning one of those Captain Packs, remember it's worth $120.
Get away!
Yeah. It's you get I think it's like 150 points that you can spend in the Rogue Trader store.
Yep.
You get instant access to the closed alpha that's going on right now, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff. You get exclusive Founder Lounge access. You get to reserve your character name, and remember, it is a key for the full game.
Yep.
You are, when you're in with this prize, you are in.
The other thing is you've got 4 character slots on there.
Yeah.
So with there being 4 races, you can play everybody.
Yeah. So, we have 10 of them to give away.
10 of them?
Wait. 10.
Yep.
That's like $1,200 worth of stuff.
Yes, we have 10 of these bad boys to give away. If you want to be in with a chance of winning them, all you have to do is post a comment here on this post on Beasts of War, and then we'll be picking 10 winners at random.
To be clear, this is exclusively comments on Beasts of War.
Exclusively comments over here on beastsofwar.com. Come on over, set yourself up a free account, and post your comments below, and we will pick 10 winners and reach out with you with keys. And then you can also hopefully get to play against us, because we have a couple of keys that we can use ourselves to try and go in and
Forget
try
the
this
show.
out. Having seen the gameplay footage and where it's at, I'm definitely going to do it. But I'm going to reserve one key for AJ, our 40k guru, because I want to let AJ in there and let him have a roam around, because I think it'll blow his mind.
I think that could be fun, because I know they're working on a guild system for this.
Yeah.
So we might actually manage to get a Beasts of War guild on the go.
What I think is going to be fun is that multiplayer bit where we all group up. I'm a Devastator, you're an Assault Marine.
Assault Marine. Terminator.
We all have our different skills, but we all have to stick together as a group to own the map.
Yes.
Because if we split up, I'll run into someone who's skilled to just take me out.
Yeah.
Because maybe I'm a Devastator and I have a delay of being able to set up my gun and someone just lands on me and clashes. But if we stick together as a group, we're going to be terrible at this game.
No. You see, what's going to happen is I'm going to jump on the attack bike, leave you guys defending base, and go out and get gloriously murdered every time I ride out.
Probably. Right. Okay. It's time to move on with the show. Okay.
Yep.
I have some awesome Kickstarters that I want to show you. Okay. And one that he wants to show us.
Yeah.
So we'll be right back after we tell you about some hubs.
Become a general of mighty armies at the Kings of War Hub. Take command of elves, dwarves, and orcs in this game of masked fantasy combat on beastsofwar.com. Venture into the dangerous dungeons of myth as a mighty hero and stand against the darkness. Visit the Myth Hub on beastsofwar.com and begin your story.
Okay, welcome to the Kickstarter part of the show. I enjoy this every week.
Yep.
We didn't used to do like a dedicated Kickstarter section, but I'm really digging the fact that we're doing it.
And we have some doozies.
And we have Ben.
Some real doozies.
Back to go over with them.
Yeah, and Ben's going to get an opportunity to give us his thoughts on the Kickstarters.
Yes.
Right, this week we're going to kick off with Ares Games, the guys behind... was it Galaxy Defenders, I believe, Ben, that they were behind?
Yes,
well,
that was the other game they've done, yeah. Like this.
Well, they've come out with a brand new one. It's called Swords and Sorcery. Now, I think we have a clip of a video about this, so have a look at this.
I remember exactly the very moment when evil began slithering into our lands. Because the sky turned black and the moon was red as blood. Our champions who once terrorized this evil, they all fell, killed or corrupted. It was then that my master Claudius, the High Cleric, sacrificed the most ancient relic of our kingdom in an appeal to the three gods, Anaris, Anonis, and Mir, to summon the souls of the most valiant heroes ever to walk upon this hallowed ground.
This is the world of Sword and Sorcery, an epic fantasy cooperative board game where 1 to 5 players take the roles of immortal heroes and fight together against the forces of evil controlled by the game system itself. Weakened by the resurrection, the heroes grow stronger during their quests. Their souls regenerate, restoring their legendary status with multiple powers, magic weapons, and powerful artifacts. Any Sword and Sorcery hero is playable in 2 different classes, representing parallel destinies due to his past choices. Each hero contains a unique soul, which is bound to the essence of one of the 3 gods and grants him access to exclusive powers. In addition, when a hero dies, he becomes ethereal, a spirit able to use its unique ghost shout on the battlefield and to resurrect using the god's altar. When a power is used, it's deactivated for a number of rounds until it finishes its cooldown and can be used again. You can increase the strength of the power, but the cooldown will be longer. Be careful. The AI system of the game controls the evil forces. Each enemy has its own strength rank, powers, weapons, fighting style, a preferred victim, and multiple behaviors for every situation during the gameplay. In addition, they can gain random deadly powers that will give you new challenges in every game session. With a length of 60 to 90 minutes, each quest will guide you through the world of Sword and Sorcery on a story-driven campaign made of intrigue, battles, loots, treasures, traps, and legendary foes, the master enemies.
I don't know about you guys, but that smacks of... do you remember the game Chaos on the Amiga?
Before my time,
Yeah,
as
Justin
always,
won.
before my time.
But Lord, do you remember Chaos on the Amiga? Ben, you might have a vague memory of Chaos on the Amiga.
No, I don't think I remember that one.
it has a dungeon crawlery-esque kind of feel to this game, and I think it looks really, really polished. I'm really, really digging the art design and the miniature styles on this. Now, the other thing is we've been very fortunate that we got him to get a sit-down with the creators of the game.
Yeah, Simon Romano, one of the authors from the game, sat down with me and actually took me through the first adventure.
But just before you get into it, I just want to say that I was watching the Kickstarter vid. And I got a sudden sense of real excitement actually when I watched it. I'm not sure if they made a really good video or they've made a really good game or it's a combination of the two.
Both.
But I just sat there and got more and more excited as the video went on.
In my opinion, both, because I've played through this first mission, right?
Yeah.
So we set up. This game is not exactly what you call a light game. There is a fair bit of setup to it, but once you're up and running, you do have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
So if we quickly look under the close camera, I've set up a thing here. Basically, this is your character card, right? You have the main card, your character himself, his armor, his weapon, his abilities, and his soul gem.
Yeah.
Now, the whole idea behind the soul gem is you have been called back from death to actually serve the realm, because all of the heroes in this world are dead, converted to evil, or fled.
Yeah.
Right? So you've been called back by a high cleric to actually set the world to rights. The first mission is you being resurrected.
Right.
So,
which is quite cool, because in the video you can see how when you are resurrected, you're not at your strongest, and then you get stronger as you go.
yeah, so it gives you a reason. You're the greatest hero of the past, but right now you're weakened.
It's a cool way that they've inserted the ability for your character to develop by getting rid of all of the proper heroes. It's a new breed of heroes coming together.
No, it's not a new breed of heroes.
Is it not a new breed?
It's the old heroes being called back from being dead. So you're being resurrected from the dead to come back and save the realm.
But it has a lot of the cool stuff in it, and the stuff that we've come to expect. Like Ben, the laws are in there, like law, natural, and
neutral.
chaos.
Neutral, not natural.
Yeah. Well, neutral then. The neutral, natural.
Okay.
I think that each of the characters can sort of go into these different branches, and they can choose different skills and stuff. I think, isn't that right?
Yeah. Well, as it stands, you have 2 types of character for each character model.
Yeah.
So you have a good and evil, or a good and a neutral, or an evil and a neutral. So you have sort of different options for your party right from the get-go. So you decide how you want to play.
Yeah.
The bonus to that is, as you're playing through your missions, you have event moments. So you'll come to a point on the map, hit an event card, which flips over, and it could be something like, say, you see a wagon getting robbed, right? So if you're a good character, your option is, right, well, I'm going to rock in here, I'm going to save the day. If you're neutral, not my problem, I'm walking on. If you're evil, he's got some nice stuff there. That bandit's not having it, I'm going to have it.
Right.
So, and if you have a bit of a mixed party, so if you have evil neutral, good neutral, or if you go for Soulstorm,
because it's a cooperative game.
It's fully cooperative.
Yeah.
So you can sort of have it that you can play against each other a little bit for getting those objectives and stuff, because it's the active player generally that affects, which I really like.
Any cooperative game is going to live or die on the AI that they've built around it. So,
yes.
What is the AI of this game like?
Right. Well, if I move this stuff out of the way for a second, and I'll get these cards out. So I need a green gremlin, the green gremlin's card, and the encounter deck. So I'll put these under close camera.
Just as you're putting them under close camera, I'm going to point out these are not final production. These are prototypes.
No, we got a beta kit sent through.
Yeah.
So what we have here is the monster itself with its health and its loot, and then the brain of the monster, which is what it does in certain situations. So if it's right up next to you, it'll attack you with its bite and claws. It's got a couple of special abilities down the bottom as well. And then to decide how it activates, after each hero goes, you'll flip an encounter card, and it tells you what's activating.
Well, let me read this encounter card, okay?
Yep.
So it says, activate all enemies at 0.
Yep.
Otherwise, all enemies move up to 2 areas toward the closest hero.
Right.
So, and it's a close combat card.
If it's at 0, it's in the same zone as you, it's going to attack you. If it's outside the same zone as you, it's moving toward you.
Right, so all enemies within the same zone as you then would attack you, right?
Yeah.
And then here, do you read off this in 0?
Yeah.
It would say move to engage, attack with bite and claws.
Yeah. And then how you attack is you roll dice. So there should be an attack stat on bite and claws down the bottom there.
That. So bite and claws is 2 with a red. I don't know. Can we get in nice and close on these? It's 2 with a little red.
Is that the closest shot?
If we go to camera 4.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. So I roll 2 dice.
So
that will be a hit with a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
And another 2 hits. So your hero would have taken 2 hits. Okay. The lightning bolts activate special abilities on your heroes and stuff.
Yeah,
so
these dice are prototypes as well, then clearly.
They are.
All right, okay.
So they're from Galaxy Defense as well. But you see the lightning bolts on this.
Yes.
The more lightning bolts you roll, the more effects you can get off. So if I get 2 lightning bolts, I can do 2 extra damage. And when I attack with this, I roll 2 red dice, 1 blue dice.
Now, did you just attack the monster, or did the monster attack you?
The monster just attacked me.
Okay.
So I would have to defend. So say I'm doing it with the paladin here.
Yeah.
I've got 1 armor, so I automatically knock off 1 of the 3 hits.
Yeah.
I'm then going to roll 2 blue dice,
yeah,
hoping for shields. I get 1 shield,
Yeah.
and I get that, which unfortunately does nothing for me. However,
Okay.
if I had rolled a lightning bolt,
Yep.
my armor then comes into play. With one lightning bolt,
Mm-hmm.
I can re-roll.
Yeah.
So I would re-roll,
And you got another shield.
huzzah, get a shield.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing I notice is the characters do play to their archetypes really, really well. Because as
Yeah.
I played through, I was playing the Knight of the Black Rose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was up front, dealing damage, crushing monsters, opening doors, just forging ahead, taking all the damage on me.
Yeah.
Simon, on the other hand, was playing the assassin.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, at one point of the game, he decided, I'm going to go ahead and open this next door. Because he went ahead, he was closest to the monsters came after him, and it is that glass cannon moment. He can throw out a lot of damage, but he cannot take it, so I need to be up front.
Mm-hmm.
And the end of the actual scenario I played, I was down to 1 health point.
Mm-hmm.
1 health point, 1 roll of the dice, win or lose.
Did you feel you picked it up pretty quick? It
Yes.
wasn't overly complicated?
It
and
wasn't overly
too
complicated,
shallow?
but it's the setup you have to be careful with, because you're building your event deck, you're building your monster deck, and you're building your heroes, right?
Okay.
So someone in your gaming group needs to actually take the game beforehand,
Do a bit of homework.
take a little time to set up. Now, don't read all the way through your storybook, because the events take place as you work through, so you will have moments of playing through your adventures to stop for story moments,
Right.
which I really, really like.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, there was the one we were in, we actually got through to the main courtyard. So suddenly it's daylight, but everything's on fire. There's gremlins everywhere. There's blood. There's death. Why is everybody dying? How do we stop this? Why has that guy got a wagon over there? I'm going to nick his stuff. I really had a lot of fun with Simon playing the game. And
Yeah.
the game mechanics, once you're up and running, once you get over those first hurdles of actually learning to read what's on your stat cards and stuff,
Yeah.
you're flying. The game plays really quickly. I'd say if we were playing a normal game, hour to an hour and a half per session.
Oh, that's
should do
not
it.
bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Like I said, it's that setup time that you have to make sure someone is there before
I
have it set up.
I see we have miniatures.
Yeah,
and
I
stuff
want to
here.
see the minis. I want to see the minis.
I've kind of been holding back on those.
I don't know about
TG
you,
boys.
Ben, but whenever I was watching that video, I was looking at the minis and I was thinking, oh, I love the monsters in this. So.
Well, we don't have the monsters, unfortunately.
Of course not. That would just be too good.
The monsters are the thing that really drew me into this when I was looking at it. Like, I quite like the hero design, especially one of the new ones. I think they've come out with a druid, like a shaman model. But some of the other like monsters that they've done are amazing. Like, they've got some really awesome werewolves and some really cool orcs and undead creatures. It's fantastic.
Hang on, Ben. That werewolf is not a monster.
What is
no
it?
way.
Wow. That is a hero.
You're joking.
But it can be any one of your heroes because you can contract lycanthropy. Or lycanthropy.
Lycanthropy.
whatever.
Okay.
At least that's what I'm guessing from what I've been reading and looking at.
Yeah,
fantastic.
So if you go up to that wagon,
and there's a werewolf inside, you get bitten.
You could catch a dose of the lycanthropy.
yeah.
Right. Okay.
Right. Anyway.
Okay. So
miniatures time.
Wait. I was enjoying the monsters and stuff as well, but I was being really boring and going, look at that skeleton, because there's just
the skeletons. The
skeletons are nice.
Skeletons look really good.
Yeah.
The one that I liked best was the big kind of wraithy looking thing. It's a Kickstarter exclusive.
Was this one of the ones cast in purple?
Yes.
Right. Okay, that's important because that means it's a master monster.
Yeah.
Because the monsters actually go on color coding for their level.
Mm-hmm.
So you have green, who are your troops.
Yeah.
Blue, who are your elites.
Mm-hmm.
Red, who are your bosses.
Yeah.
Purple, who are your masters. So you can very quickly see what's what on the table.
Yeah. It was that one that we just saw in the video there. It was the big purple wraithy looking thing, Kickstarter exclusive, beautiful looking cloaks and stuff everywhere.
Warren's inner nerd was just going, Want.
Okay. Right. Let's have a look at these.
Okay, minis. So if we go to the close camera, Lloyd. So this is our knight, who is really nicely done. Now I spoke to Simon. The swords do get a little bendy, but they are currently working on that to straighten those out.
It's easy.
Hot water.
It's usually an easy fix. I've done
hot
this
water
stuff.
straightens
But,
that.
I mean, like, the heroes are really dynamic in their poses. You get a real sense of movement off them. We then have our sorceress.
Yeah, what I love about the sorceress is if you can look closely at the cape, there's actually detail on the bottom of the cape that you could just run white paint, just the edge of your brush, just run it over that, and you could pick out all that beautiful detail on the coat.
Yeah.
Very, very well put together mini from a painting perspective. So quick to.
We then have our paladin / cleric.
I think this, out of the character models, is probably my favorite.
I think this is probably Ben's favorite just for the fact that it's a dwarf.
We're looking at the dwarf.
So
we're looking at the dwarf.
It's fantastic.
Ben.
I have seen it and I think it's awesome. It's probably the best character of a lot of them.
Yeah, we then have our rogue / assassin lady.
Yeah.
Because like I said, they come in 2 variants. We then have our archer guy as well, who's an elf.
Oh, actually, you know,
I
when we
like
see
that.
that
That's very
close,
good, isn't it?
I'm looking at that going, I like that too.
Yeah.
And then we get a little doggy as well.
Now, you sure that's not a wolf?
It's a wolf doggy.
It's a wolf doggy.
A wolf
right,
doggy
okay.
with runes on it. But I mean, like, they've done a really nice job of actually sculpting these from the 3D renders.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I was just having a wee investigation of
what's
them.
the verdict then?
I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot.
I really like
I
it.
think we
Thumbs up.
have a new hot contender in the whole dungeon delving realm
Yeah.
with this.
quite possibly, because the inbuilt AI is clever enough that you have unexpected things happening, and the heroes play like themselves enough that you're never going to have to worry. Also means that if Warren decides to play a rogue and goes Leroy Jenkins, I don't have to worry because he's going to die and turn into a soul, because you don't actually die in this game.
Or I'll do my best to catch a dose of lycanthropy.
It's been a long day.
I have more Kickstarters.
Just let's get Ben's final word. Ben, final word on that?
I think it looks good. I think as long as, well, you've converted me around to the AI deck, I think that's going to be a good selling point for this game. I think it looks like a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
Cool.
Right, next up, Super Dungeons Explore Legends.
Super Dungeon
Yes,
Super Dungeons Explore?
Super Dungeon
Yeah, I
Explorer
know
Legends.
who's at it.
Yeah. Now, this is the second edition. Okay, it's got both arcade and classic mode. It has a whole bunch of new stuff in it, but it's a much more narrative experience that they're building this time around, Ben.
yeah, this Kickstarter focuses a little bit on the second edition box, but also on the Legends expansion that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
And this adds a campaign and a sort of role-playing element to things, so your characters can actually progress and get more powerful, and there are a little bit of story elements going through it as well. So it's basically trying to make it into sort of more of a long-running thing rather than sort of like sit down and play it in one session kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
well,
you've got lots of different options this time around. So.
we have a little video clip of it, Lloyd, so just have a look at this.
Okay, so that's looking pretty awesome, I think. I mean, the campaign's done extremely well. I mean, they funded in, I think it was 15 minutes.
Yeah,
when it
I heard
launched.
that. 15 minutes was all
Yeah,
it took to
What?
reach their funding goal.
Yeah.
That is
Crazy.
quick.
Wow.
Some Kickstarters are just doing it like that
Yeah.
these days.
Yeah, yeah. And they've got a whole bunch of like really interesting extra boxes and stuff that come in the campaign. Like I think there's 3, and the first one of them is called the Frostbite Ravagers, and it looks at these really cool sort of ice and frost mountain orcs, and you get a really cool new hero in it. It's
That's the Lightning Mage, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
yeah.
very, very cool. You know, the whole thing about Super Dungeon Explorers, like, let's be honest, this is homage to games like Zelda. This is your whole 8-bit,
Yeah,
beautiful kind of video gamey kind of experience in your dungeon exploration. You know, it's going to be one of those things that, I don't know, you're either going to be into it or you're not. But if you're into it, boy oh boy, are you going to be into it. You know,
Well,
it's,
I remember playing version 1 of this whenever we were across in England.
yeah.
We had a lot of fun with it, and our DM was one of those nasty types who really went for you. You really had to work to win whenever you had a good DM against you in it.
Yeah.
And that was just something that made it a real challenge and really fun.
Well, the thing that they've changed a little bit with the second edition as well, and I think it'll play into sort of this ability to throw in new different monsters and things like that from different expansion boxes and stuff, is that they've tried to make it a little bit more intense and short form in the way that you play, so you can fit in, a lot more into a smaller session, if you know what I mean, and then get into a new interesting encounter the next time around against entirely different enemies and stuff like that. And they've got so many expansion boxes out there anyway now. I mean, Dawn and Gianna did a really great coverage of the latest box, which was fantastic. And I wasn't overly drawn into Super Dungeon Explorer when it first came out, but I'm really looking at this now and thinking this might be a good time to get into it. I'm quite won over by the characters and the new sculpts and stuff like that. So.
The narrative aspect of this has really drawn me in. Super Dungeon Explorer as a board game is a beautiful product. If you remember, it was like hen's teeth to try and get it at the time. It sold out all the time. In terms of I'm not really of the Nintendo generation. I kind of came in on the whole other side of it, Spectrums, Amigas, and stuff like that. So the art direction has taken me a bit of time to really kind of latch onto. But I tell you what it is about this particular new expansion or new direction for it is the focus on narrative. Okay, I think I'm looking at it from the point of view that this could be a game that I could take home. I can start to play this with my kids. I think my kids are going to fall in love with this game. I especially love this Starfire Dragon. What a beautiful model that Starfire Dragon is. I just think it is a real classy a way to do that whole adventure gaming. So now what will remain to be seen is, are the rules basic enough for me to bring it home to play it with the family.
Well, in the first edition, on your character card, you pretty much had 2 stats to worry about, and then just a couple of special abilities.
Yeah.
So it was very light, very easy, and you just ran away with it.
Yeah, the game is considered considerably seen as quite a fun entry-level game for a lot of younger players. There's a guy on YouTube, Watch It Played, and he played this game. I think it was in the first edition, but it sort of carries over with the mechanics and stuff.
Yeah.
With his kids, and they really enjoyed it and got into it very quickly and stuff. And they were sort of mid-teens to sort of late teens and stuff. So I think it'd be really good.
Well, I think it's definitely one to watch. They're going to be knocking down stretch goals left, right, and centre.
Oh yeah, guaranteed.
Who knows where they're going to go with this? So.
It's good to see it getting lots and lots of expansions and things, because when Super Dungeon Explorer first came out, I looked at it and I thought, that's it. It's a one-off product. I didn't really think it would catch on to the extent that it has, and it's a nice, pleasant surprise to see them keep pushing forward with this.
Well, it's one of the 2 big Kickstarter games, that can keep on rolling and rolling. Super Dungeon Explorer and Zombicide. And they both still have a journey left in them to see where they're going to go. So and I am. I've got to say that one change, that focus now on narrative, to me is a biggie, and
it's a key for any dungeon delver, as we've seen. Yeah. You have to get your story right, otherwise it's just pushing minis about and having combat.
Yeah, and this is where it becomes a great family game.
In that respect, it kind of reflects video games, because video games used to be all about the gameplay and moving around and stuff. And then we started to develop lots of story and cutscenes and stuff. It's kind of gone the same way. From its 8-bit roots, it's now developed stories and cutscenes and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm finding in my own family gaming is that whenever there's a strong narrative to the game, we play maybe on a Friday night. We're still talking about it on the Tuesday evening. Savannah saying, "Do you remember when such and such happened?" I go, "Yeah." Savannah now, is asking me things like, "Is there such a thing as a Cyclops snake?" No, might have been Justin that was asking me about a one-eyed snake.
Every time there is one comment, lovely. Thank you.
But it was Cyclops dragons, I think she was asking about. And it's whenever you have something that has a narrative that you can strongly hook your children into, it means that whenever you come back to it, you get to recap, you get to go, well, do you remember this and do you remember that, and the tension builds, and it's just brilliant, and that for me, we got to see where that goes. That narrative aspect is a big one. Right, I have one more Kickstarter. Okay. So this next one is called it's Headspace Cyberpunk RPG. It's got about 23, 24 days left.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a role-playing game. It's set in kind of like a cyberpunk future. Okay, where you're playing members of a cell. Okay. Now I have a video of it, but before we cut to that, we're gonna love this with him. We're gonna love it with him because Justin, right? In this cell, you get to. You're all linked by mind, okay?
Right.
That's why it's called Headspace.
Hang on.
So we're all linked together.
Wait.
And we can. Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
I don't want to be inside your head. This scares me.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
A lot. This scares me.
Okay. So do you know that? You do you know like special skills? Okay.
Yeah.
So you get to have my special skills. So
whoa.
unrestrained
Wait.
attention.
You're giving me ADD?
Yes, you're gonna get it.
Okay, this is hilarious.
I get yours. Like
you get my brain farts.
Yeah, well, yeah, or the special kill, secret private touch, or. Anyway, here, watch the video.
So hang on.
Headspace is a role-playing game that explores human emotion, memory, and personal identity. The world of Headspace is a dark future where technology has begun to alter not just our bodies, but how we feel and even think. In this future, an advanced neural networking technology, Headspace, has been developed. The Headspace allows a group of wielders to connect their minds directly to each other. But jacking into the Headspace comes with a cost. There is no going back. Once your minds are bound together, every thought, sensation, emotion, and even dreams are shared over any distance instantaneously. It also allows you to borrow the skills of the people who make up your cell. It doesn't matter that you've never fired a gun or defused a bomb as long as one of you has. You can reach out and access their skills, acting as if they were doing it for you. When your mind connects to theirs to share their skills, they can feel you. In the world of Headspace, governments struggle to maintain law and order. Most have all but ceded their authority to gigantic corporations that now fight for control of Earth's remaining resources. In this future, few stand against the tide of corporate corruption and greed. Fewer still have the assets and abilities to make a difference. You could be that difference. You and your friends could be the ones to stand against the corporations and make a better world for those left on the margins of society. To do it, you'll not only need the latest weapons and cyber technologies, but also the drive to work together, seamlessly sharing your skills and abilities, operating not as a group of individuals, but as a perfect team, a cell, within the Headspace.
Okay, I'm sold, but with conditions.
Right.
There's conditions?
There's conditions?
I want to know if I can put a parental lock on his mind.
Well, did you see during that, right? So if you jack onto my head, right?
Okay.
Then what happens is you share all my skills.
Yes.
And my dreams.
Yes, that's the scary bit.
Oh, is that the scary bit?
That's the scary bit, because I don't know, you have I don't want to explain this. You have that kind of a brain.
Yeah, well, look.
I like the game. I hate the idea of being wired into your brains.
What if you were wired into John's brain?
Okay.
I think that's worse. I don't want to be wired into that either.
Tanks, yeah. Well, look, on a serious note, okay? Obviously, you're playing your character, so it's your character's special moves and stuff that you can get into. I really quite like this. The idea of playing a cell and conducting some kind of covert operation. So can you imagine, I'm trying to set the scene of what this might be like. Imagine it was a more kind of like a Splinter Cell type thing, okay? And you're able to creep through, but you had different... you had these different skills, and you were maybe in different parts of the location that you were trying to break into. You know, it's all mega corporations, so you'll be stealing information and hacking and stuff like that. And, you know, then you can jack onto someone's head and get in there. And
well, you see, the question I have is, say I take one of your skills. Say your character is brilliant at being stealthy.
Yes.
I take your stealth. Do you then receive my stealth and become incredibly clumsy?
Well, you see,
that would be an interesting way to do it.
This is what
I think that's generally it, though. I mean, if you receive my gift, I receive your gift.
Effectively, what I see the game trying to do is it defeats that problem that always happens with role-playing groups of some people want to do one thing and other people want to do another thing, and they go off in different directions. Well, if you've all got the same shared consciousness, you're all in the situation at the same time.
Yeah.
So if two people go off and they start, getting attacked by somebody, their fear and their, emotions are going to rise. So it forces you to work together in a way that you wouldn't normally do, especially in a sci-fi game where you can be miles and miles apart from each other.
But are you going to work with each other?
The thing is, the way it balances all the shared skill sets, is you also have the emotions, the fears, the desires, dreams, nightmares. So you have to balance it. There's mechanics in there to balance all this out, because clearly the more jacked on you are to each other's heads, the more of the downsides that you have as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the mechanics of this actually work.
Well, there's another interesting aspect to that sort of emotional side of things, in that if a character dies, there's sort of like a ghost in the machine effect, where whatever of their consciousness was uploaded into your collective cell still exists. So you've got this weird thing going on of like someone who died but is still in the middle of your head talking to you about things as well. So it's very odd. It's a bit sort of Assassin's Creed Abstergo type thing going on.
That is very cool.
So hang on, if I died in game, I could actually just sit beside Warren and just whispering at him for the rest of the game.
There could like be an aspect of you in
that
his
would be
head
funny
talking to him
to
all the
actually
time,
roleplay. That would be funny to roleplay.
Oh, you'd enjoy that, would you?
I think that would be funny.
Well, there's two settings, okay? So there's two settings. There's Vancouver in 2074. Basically, a tsunami has hit Canada. Vancouver's been driven into ruin, and the corporations are pledging to clean up the city, but they've basically put it into a stranglehold. The other one is Israel in 2076.
Okay.
A water shortage has led to building a kind of like a massive reclamation plant. Okay, and the corporations there are. They're there because it was bombed by terrorists. The United Nations have stepped in, and the government is now trying to stabilize that whole region. It's a very different.
It's really weird. Those locations, Vancouver and Israel, wouldn't be the first locations I'd think of.
Well, the thing that they were going for is that they were trying to build a series of different what-if scenarios that weren't necessarily joined in any way, so it's not like a cohesive story of a world, but sort of like what would happen if this happened here. And they tried to go with very different angles as well. So, like, for example, the Vancouver one is a bit more cyberpunk, whereas the Israeli one is a little bit more sort of counter-terrorism, sort of cell versus cell action and things like that.
It's the Israeli one that's appealing to me. I really like that.
So is this going back towards your Rainbow Six tactical insertion team type thing that you like?
It's the one that starts to feel like that kind of Splinter Cell, near future type stuff. Every setting has kind of like 5 events, 5 issues, 5 corporate secrets. So there's a bit of a mix up in there. And what I would love to see is, as this Kickstarter continues to push through stretch goals, is more and more of these environments created.
Are you on? Well, for me, I'd love to head to Neo Tokyo, but where would you head?
Moscow.
Yeah,
I think
that could be an interesting one to roleplay in.
I think Moscow could be a really cool one. Baghdad. Baghdad is another one, because you look at all the different factions that even exist within Baghdad at the moment. Possibly Syria.
Some locations in China, because if it's in 2070s, China's going to be like way out there.
Yeah.
So it's for me, it's a little Kickstarter. It's kind of come out of nowhere, but for me, it's a game that I think has a ton of potential.
Well, one of the important things I think to key on to this is that the system they're using is sort of based on I think it's called Welcome the Apocalypse system, and it's been used in a lot of really good sort of indie, I guess, going with this sort of small Kickstarter thing. It's lots of indie role-playing games, and the sort of mechanics behind it aren't so much driven by stats, but driven by sort of actions that would be tied to your character specifically. So you actually have to work really well together as a team, and it's all driven by sort of storytelling and a lot more sort of emotive language. So it fits into the whole idea of cells and shared consciousness and stuff like that. But it's a fantastic mechanic.
Well, that's your lot for your Kickstarters. I have a competition winner to announce before you close out the show.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so this is the winner of the dungeon terrain from Battle Systems.
An awesome prize.
It was a fabulous prize. And the winner is Zammer30. Congratulations. And that's me. We're done.
Yeah, Zammer30, if you can fill out, there's a wee contact button up there. There's a form that you fill in. You basically claim your prize. And that's the show done for this week.
Yep.
Tomorrow is the XLBS version of the show.
I have some really good Kickstarters for tomorrow.
Yes, we have lots of really good Kickstarters. If you want to join us tomorrow, you can actually take a 7-day free trial if you're not already a Backstager, and nip in and watch another show. It's not an extension of this show. It's like another version. It's a brand new second episode.
It is. Yep. Also, as a Backstager, if you come across, we have just aired the Designer's Studio interview with Andy Chambers.
I loved
which has been absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, it's fantastic to watch that. It's great.
So by coming the Backstager, you can come over and watch that. And if you enjoy that, we have more of them with Rick Priestley, John Stallard, and a ton of other people in the industry.
I do like the Designers series that we've got going there. Right, let's move on. Let's do the next show. So we hope to see you guys tomorrow.
It's time for 28mm World War II action. Will you recreate history or reshape it your way? On the Bolt Action Hub at beastsofwar.com. Progress comes to a world of magic as science and the arcane combine to make marvels. Meet steampunk inventors and orc mystics at the Volsung Hub on beastsofwar.com.